For once, the train is on time, rolling in just as I reach the station. Furtively, throwing flute, glances back at the impressionable witness of any signs of pursuit. I wait off to the side of the double doors for the train to discharge its few passengers. Standing up on its effort, professionally dressed, moderately pretty woman walks up in passing and gives me a startled glance as she readjusts the bag on her shoulder. I must look like a wreck. The sickly smile I return only seemed to disturb her more. I enter the car and fall onto one of the hard plastic benches facing the near rear of the train, roughly dropping my valet next to me. As the train pulls out of the station, I heave a sigh of relief. Whatever that thing was, I have seemed to have managed to outrun it so far. If my luck holds, I'll be able to get home to my apartment and retrieve some firepower more substantial than the Glock. The heavy weight of my giant .50 caliber pistol would feel remarkably comfortable right now, as it would simultaneously shotgun loaded with 12 gauge, double upright. The real question on my mind was what the hell was that thing was. Granted, it wasn't the otherworldly entity that I have seen in my life, but a large part of me still wants to put that last time down the trauma-based hallucination. Besides, this one was physically different, though some strange feeling of unreality is absolutely the same. I have never heard of anything like this creature outside of the comic books and fairy tales. The odds that the man who would randomly encounter more than one of those things in a single lifetime have been astronomical. Therefore, logic suggests that there could be some connection between the two meetings. But what? The light flickered. I looked around the compartment and noticed that I almost to myself, in fact, the only company I have is a homeless man I somehow didn't see when I first got on, sprawled unconscious across the bench towards the rear. I can't blame him for wanting to get out of the storm, but briefly wondered how was he managed to avoid the conductor, since he didn't look like he'd be able to afford a ticket, or even half a ticket. I put my monthly ride pass on my inner coat pocket and placed it into the plastic slot of the back of the seat in front of me. My shoulder sharply throbs, causing me to look up. The first thing I notice is that my formerly sleeping homeless man companion is wide awake and sitting rigidly at attention. The next two is that his eyes are fixed on an unblinking stare directly at me. They are remarkably bloodshot, so red that they had beer here or a bear of disconcertancy, looking close to resemblance the eyes of the creature that pursuing me earlier. The man slowly stands, and its unwavering gaze attempting to bore straight through me. I return his stare, matching his steadiness, if not instantly, given the preternational color of his eyes. I could feel the tiny hairs on the back of his neck and stand erect, and rash of goosebumps flushed down my arms. I found myself mentally reviewing years as a close combat training as my hand. I almost, as if its own accord, slowly edges down towards my right ankle and the tiny Glock concealed there. I take a stock of my man 25 feet down from the car before me. On the surface, other than the startling eyes, there was nothing that could make him stand out in a room full deluxe. He stands about 5'7", with an average build, and he looks to be in his mid to late 60s. His gray hair is as long as matted as the snarling beard that he practically explodes out of his lower face. He is wearing a gray sweatpants and trash sneakers, his toes showing through a sizable hole in one of them. A dark ratty fleece hat on his head, and he is bundled up in the old Vietnam era Army issue jacket. I briefly paused my assessment to wonder if he was a veteran. He was carrying no obvious weapons I can see, but I know many ways for an average person to conceal any number of blades, pistols, and other violence, including implements. Many more of that person is clever. Still with those eyes, that would be hell if a coincidence, if not two, were somehow related. I grabbed my shoulder, grimacing at the white hot pain lances across and through and brings me stars to my eyes. Regaining my awareness, I realize that the man has moved completely length of the car, impossibly fast, and now looms directly over me. But before I could think, much less, again, begin to clear my gun from its holster, his hand flashes down and traps my wrist with an iron grip. A crazed, sneering grin on his face. The man's other hand seizes my left shoulder and pins me to the back of my seat. The whole movement taking more than a fraction of a second. With his face mere inches from my own, nauseatingly obvious that he hasn't bathed in some time. Dirt and other substance whose identity I feared to guess was smeared all over skin and clothing alike. Several gigantic flies flit about, buzzing continuously and occasionally pausing to alight on his face, hands, and elsewhere. A sickening cocktail odor of sweat, ammonia, and something sulfurous permeates to the air to be around him, as his breath and wheezes in and is out of his mouth and through the excessively crooked teeth, the color of jaundice. I notice that several are missing. I also note that the remaining have been filled into wicked points that look sharp enough to shred skin and tissue like a wet toilet paper. This was close to them. His eyes were merely bloodshot but glowing. Their unflattering scruffinly becomes indefensible onslaught. I feel as if my consciousness is being forcibly drawn into some blasphemous other world through the blood-red portal. For a second I see myself struggling, drowning in molten fire that snaps and swirls where his irises would be, growing to the point of not to be the smallest peck of white visible in his eyes. Realization hits me like a thunderbolt. God, he and that monster aren't connected, but they're the same freaking thing. In the back of my mind, deeply buried, primal instinct tells me that this moment something is profoundly wrong, and with the world, persistence of its unknown identity, who is being mocks of the laws for reason. A living nightmare that has escaped of the realm of sleep. Almost unnerving part is that I have felt this way countless times before once. 3 years ago in a dark underground cavern in the middle of the war zone. Every night since the suffering for those horrifying and real dreams are impossible things. My eyes tell me they saw there. A long black tongue feeling like a rough leather licks and dry blood from my scalp. I sit completely still, shocked and beyond movement, mouth slightly ajar. Yes, this is the one. The one, yes, this is him. The man-thing mumbles. I gape up at him. Still not right. No, not right. Supposed to being this is it. Doesn't being has it? No, it doesn't mean it has to be. But supposed to being, where is being? The soldier boy, eh? Where is it being hiding at? Hiding? I somehow find my voice. I think you must have the wrong man, sir. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just a school teacher. I teach history in Haverbrook. Some incredibly small part of my brain mentally chases the rest of my subconsciousness. which is currently in the process of wetting itself. So stop being such a silly, helpless little bitch. And I used to call myself a soldier. No wonder I didn't make it all the way through to retirement. Calling Blee, sir? Little soldier boy was thinking of being a teacher. Being the teacher of a little children's. Teaching histories and he thinking. The man thing giggles. Blees is knowing that who he can do and those who can't teach. But you can. Little soldier boy can do, and little soldier boy will do what Blees would let his soldier boy do. Teaching histories, you think you teaching histories of men, but not histories, not right histories, and the little soldier boy not one to teach him. Little soldier boy being the one to do things. Little soldier boys being doing if they're Blees being letting him. But Blees is not supposed to be letting him. No, Blees is not sure if Blees is supposed to not being letting him if the soldier boy not being as it is. The little soldier boy was once supposed to being has it, but something being wrong, supposedly to be here, but being here not. We are being the little soldier boy? A small angry spark seems to flare at my mind, as I manage to offer up at least a presence of resistance. I've always hated it when people get in my face. I probably will try and why I had such a tough time at the basic training. The non-pants wetting part of my brain gives a tiny cheer. Frankly, Blees, or whatever the hell your name is, I glare at him with that hope I have significantly more confidence than I actually feel. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Now get your damned hands off of me. My anger only seems to amuse him. Damned hands, yes. Damned hands, damned arms, damned Blees. The dirt-smeared leathery skin of his face crinkles and around the flaming pools, glowing in the place of his eyes as he laughed. Little soldier boy does more than he thinks that he does. But no, little soldier boy probably not knows what little soldier boy is supposed to knows but does not. What Blees do? Blees is supposed to be finding the little soldier boy. Finding the little soldier boy, Blees has, but little soldier boy supposed to be in as it is. The man's thing's mouth closes in a hard line of contemplates this dilemma. I will admit that the issue of me completely confounded as well, but for entirely different reasons. Suddenly his face lights, red eyes even shining brighter than two miniature stars that found themselves trapped in the prison of flesh and bone. The same wicked smile again stretches across the molded lips, razor-like sharp teeth, seeming to glint in the harsh electric light of the train car. Ah, but this little soldier boy, already marked by dark one eyes, remarked, and so Blees can find again. Find again, Blees can find little soldier boy's mark from the dark one, and then Blees can make sure little soldier boy not to do little soldier boy things. Gripping my arm and shoulder, the man-thing pulls me closer and hisses in my ear. You belong to the Dark Ones now, little soldier boy. Once you being has what you supposed to being as, Dark Ones being talking and what's belonging to them. He abruptly releases my arms, shoving me back painfully hard against the unforgiving seat. The instant I am free to move, I snatched a Glock from my ankle, jump to my feet, and then snap into a two-handed shooter's stance. Slightly dazed, I find myself alone in the train cart. The creature's pretending to be an old man is gone.